Welcome to our percipient realtors and investors across the country. Today is Tim, you're not supposed to laugh at my adjectives. Mute yourself out.
What is percipient?
If you don't know, look it up.
Words up at this point.
No. Percipient is perceptive, astute. It's all kinds of good stuff. You guys got to not laugh. I mean, it's not easy to come up with 350 different adjectives. Anyway, today is. Yeah, no, that is the correct pronunciation. Now, be quiet while I finish the intro. Today is Thursday, September 30th, 2021, and this is Mastermind podcast number 347. As you can probably hear, my partners, our coaches, and I came to play today. We're here to have some fun. We hope you are too. We do have two in the queue so far. Bruce and Tim, anything you want to start with, and then we'll get to the queue?
Not for me, sir. I'd like to hear from the people in the queue.
Yeah, all right, Bruce. All right.
Let's go to the queue.
If we have a break during the queue, there's a couple things that Tim can interview Bruce about. But let's go to our first caller. That's why you guys are here. And anybody else that would like to join in, we got a good attendance today. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and you can be up next. First up today is phone number ending in 3432. You're up first. Are you there? 3432. All right. Well, I think he got shy. We got one other one in the queue. If 3432, just hit *6 and hit 1 again, and you can make it back into the loop. Next up is phone number ending in 4574. You're up next.
Hi, this is Sylvia in Whittier, California. And
hey, Sylvia.
Hey, Sylvia.
Hi. I just have a question. I just started, I'm not new to the business, but I just started finishing up the course for the probate. And I came across actually this morning where I called and the second or third number was like an office, and I guess it was the personal representative, assistant maybe, that answered it. And I thought it was a real estate office, but it's actually an insurance office. My question is, the email, I guess he wasn't available, but she said anything that I needed to send or to get a hold of him had to go through her email first. So what would you send as an email just to try to get some kind of response or get him to call back?
Jim, do you, Chuck, or Tim have anything? I'm processing.
Okay, yeah, I'll start
off the top of your head.
Yeah, I'll start off. I know something that has worked before for our attorneys when they're dealing with professional PRs and or attorneys.
Okay.
Make it look you want to get it opened in red. So make the subject line regarding probate case number 274325. And then when you get into the content, you can go one of two ways. You can give them some content, or you could say, it's important I talk to you about this probate. Please give me a call. That'll sure get them to call back. They might be a little annoyed when they do. Bruce, right. if she chooses to do, it kind of reminds me. It just depends on how far you want to go with it. We had a door knocker years ago that had some stickers made up that looked like UPS delivery stickers, like "We missed you." And he made up stickers he used to put on the door that says, "Sorry, we missed you. Please give a call." And people thought they had missed the delivery of the package, and 100% of them would call back. So that's kind of the same approach. You could either do that, or Bruce, if she were to choose to leave some content, what would you recommend?
Well, honestly, thinking about it, especially since it's going through secretary, I think that I would maybe say in the email sensitive information. So in the subject line, I like regarding the estate of so-and-so or the case number, and then in the content say, this is a sensitive topic, and this is a sensitive topic. Please forward to whoever the PR is and have him give me a call. And then that way it's still going through the secretary, but I'm probably not going to put a whole lot of information in there since it's a third party that's going to be looking at that.
I would also just add one other thing, and that is that you want to maybe say something about, that's a great answer, Bruce, is that you might want to say something about, I just need a couple of minutes of, the person's name. I need a couple of minutes of whoever it is, Miss Jones' time to deal with a sensitive matter, like Bruce was saying. But if you make it short, then they're not going to think, well, I've got to lay out a half an hour to talk to this person that I don't know anything about. So you've given them an expectation that it'll be short and sweet.
Okay.
Yep. Agreed. I wouldn't want to put a whole lot of information in there for a third party to see. So I really wouldn't lay out the details of the program when it's going to a third party.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, so speaking of which, so you got a gatekeeper, and that happens a lot with attorneys. It happens when you have a PR that's professional, kind of running a business. Those things happen, and their gatekeepers are trained to keep people out. One of the best questions that I've ever heard when you get that gatekeeper that's trying to lock you out is the question, if you were me, how would you go about grabbing 5 minutes of so-and-so's time? So now you're asking them a pointed question that's open-ended, and it's kind of defining what you want is 5 minutes of the person's time. And instead of saying, can I get 5 minutes of their time, which the answer is probably no, or what's it about?
Right.
If you were me, how would you grab 5 minutes of their time? And you'd be surprised how many people are going to say, oh, well, how about I have him give you a call? Or you might want to do it on his cell phone, or might want to do it after hours or something. It's a really good question that a lot of times gets you around the gatekeeper that would have otherwise shut you out.
Okay.
That's great. That's also, Bruce, that's great because you're highlighting the fact that you understand the power that they have. Now you're challenging them to use it a little bit. You're saying, I get the fact that you're large and in charge, and no one would know better than you how to do this. How would you do it? That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, I love that too. I was going to say, I suspect you'll get comments to that like, don't tell him I told you, but he usually gets back from lunch about 1:15. So if you call right at 1:15, you'll probably get a hold of him. Because you're really winning the person over. What's that?
Yeah, I actually think that would work because she did tell me, I confirmed the email that I had here, and she says, oh yeah, but don't send that one because he doesn't even check his emails. So that's what it sounded to me, so it sounded like she would get it to him, but I just didn't know what to send. But that sounds good. I'll see which one of these they all sound good, so I'll put something together. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that is, this is our 347th call. We get a lot of duplicate questions, but I don't ever remember asking anybody. I've heard people say, how do you get past the gatekeeper? But I've never heard that question asked in that way. How do you get the gatekeeper to kind of side with me and get me access to the person in charge? So great question. Thank you. I think we got a few good answers. Try it and come back and let us know how it worked, okay?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. We have one more in the queue, guys. Just hit *6 and hit 1, and you can be next. In the meantime, next up is phone number ending in 6628. You're up next.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, I recognize that voice.
Hey. I figured I would call and bug you since you're both in a good mood today.
Oh, we're always in a good mood. At least two of the three of us are. 2 out of 3 of us are always in a good mood, and I'm not saying who the third one is. So go ahead.
What are you trying to say, Jim? What's your point, Jim?
Hey.
Go ahead, sir.
Hey, I apologize. This is Scott, and I'm in Atlanta.
Hey, Scott. I know.
I know you guys have talked about this before many times, and pardon my ignorance and having to go back through all the calls, but since you guys are in such a good mood today, I wondered if you would maybe Tim and maybe Bruce, if you would both give me your voicemail drop for older leads, just kind of a paraphrase for it. I'm recording it, so I'm going to use whichever one I think is best.
Okay.
No pressure, Bruce. You go first.
For an older lead, is this an older lead that you have not called for a while or never called, or is this an older lead that you've already been trying and they've kind of been ignoring you?
Older lead that I have not called recently, correct.
Okay, perfect. I'm probably going to leave 2. So not a single voicemail. The first of the 2 voicemails I'm going to leave for older leads are going to start with, hey, it's Scott. Just wanted to give you a really quick call. If you could, just give me a shout back at your convenience at da-da-da. And if and just in case you didn't know, this is about the probate case that you were the personal representative on. I'm not sure if you're still going through that. Please give me a call back. So I'm actually going to leave a couple of details, and instead of leaving it too vague and ambiguous, I'm going to say, and just in case you didn't know, this is about the probate case number such and such. Please give me a call back. And that should create a little bit of curiosity. The next email that I'm going to leave is going to say, hey, this is Scott. I reached out to you a couple of weeks ago, and we hadn't had a chance to connect, but I was calling about the house at 123 Main Street, if you have an address. And basically, I help people that have kind of gone through the probate process recently or maybe have inherited property. Have a lot of different services that I offer to help you get through finalized probate. And if you've already gone through the probate process, I have a couple of other things that might be interesting to you. Call me back. But I do want to leave 2 voicemails, not just 1. And I'd like one to be a little bit more vague and then one to go over a couple of the services that you offer.
What's the separation for them?
Ask that again.
What's the separation time frame?
For me, it would probably be about 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
It doesn't. Ask me tomorrow. I'll give you a different answer. Yeah, it'd probably be a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. Jim? Chuck?
Yeah, I'll give you. And Tim, we'll let you go last. So you'll have, last is always best. Those are both great. A third one that's worked very well for me, especially if they're very old leads, if they're like 6 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years old, I use a very blunt, very direct approach. Hey, Scott, this is Jim. I noticed you are or recently were the executor of an estate. You may have already sold that property. If so, no need to call me back. Hey, if you do still have a property you want to sell, would you give me a call? Just really straight to the point. And like Bruce always says, you're giving them permission not to call back. When you say, if you've already sold it, no need to call me. And the people that respond to that say, yeah, I was just thinking the other day, like a year ago, my phone was ringing off the hook. And now that I finally want to sell it, you're the only one that's contacted me in a long time. So that one's worked very well for me, just a very direct approach, but I would do it on the older of the oldest leads, because most of them have already sold, and you're kind of acknowledging that they may have, and you're kind of maybe reminding them why they haven't. You'll get a variety of reasons, but I hear things like, we just couldn't bring ourselves to go through mom and dad's stuff. I've heard, there's 3 of us, we all got our lawyers, and I won. So I'm the executor of the estate. They'll usually start off by telling you the reason. They'll start off by acknowledging, yeah, you're right. I was, and I finally. Some feel compelled to call you back and say, "Oh, it was so nice, but yeah, I did sell the property, even though you told them not to," and that's fine. You might just want to see if you can add them to your sphere of influence. But if they call back and acknowledge that they're finally ready, you're kind of on the same page already, because you told them, you sort of reminded them of the reason that it took so long and reminding them that they do want to sell now. Tim, no pressure. What do you have to add to those three?
Actually, Chuck is on. Chuck, you got anything?
Yeah, I think, the primary approach, because they're older, I think that the blunt approach and stepping forward with, hey, I'm calling because I know that there might have been some real estate. If you do have real estate there, and if I could bring you an acceptable offer, maybe you might consider selling that real estate. Let's have a conversation. Give me a buzz, 717-555-1212.
There you go. Sure.
Yep.
That's four versions.
On older. Direct is good on older leads.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'm going to give you mine, and it's kind of different than any of those. And, I think you should actually take a whack at, several of these and see what you get, because these have all been really good answers. Hopefully mine will be as good as the ones you already got. Mine's pretty straightforward, and it has nothing to do with the real estate itself. I'd just say, hey, this is Scott. Let me stop a second and say, I wouldn't use your last name. I'd just say, hey, this is Scott, and that keeps it conversational. So it's, hey, this is Scott. I've been trying to reach you about the estate of Emily Davidson for a while, and I haven't heard back from you. I'm concerned we're going to run out of time. I know you need to get this probate settled, and you don't want to leave anything hanging. Please call me back as soon as possible. Again, this is Scott. My number is 676-5555, and this is regarding the estate of Emily Davidson. And I'd hang up. That says you're not doing your job if you don't call me back.
Especially if it's still an active probate. If it isn't, they may not call back anyway. But if it is, it's still an active probate.
Yeah. Back anyway. That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
If it kind of gets it all out of the way. If it hasn't been settled, it's still hanging, they're going to call you. They're not doing their job if they don't. And they're required to make that phone call. And they're required to check with anybody that may have a claim.
This is true. Yep. I like it.
Awesome, guys.
All right, Scott, who's the winner? Winner.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that, Scott. It's up.
Winner.
Should we wait till he tries them, or should he just give his? Which one do you like the best, Scott?
I can't tell you that.
Yeah, you'd have to kill us if you told us. So, all right.
I know you like mine best, Scott. I could tell. I
like Tim today.
There you go.
All right. Well, I would say, hey, try them all. Gauge the results. Spread them up at least a few days or a week apart. Try them all and let us know what works.
Yeah, seriously, it's a really great question. And I think that the other thing I would do is take a second and just add one other thing. And I'd like to ask my cohorts on here for the same thing, which is that in addition to that, what other recommendations do you guys have? And I'm also going to say that I would add to this that I don't think it's a bad thing to go do to at some point in this process. If you haven't heard back from them in 90 days, I also think that if there's still an active lead in your system, it may be a good time to literally send them a number 10 envelope letter that literally, explains to them why you're trying to reach them. And on the outside of the letter, have it say regarding the estate of Emily Davidson. And that's going to get their attention as well. I think sometimes we neglect to rely on the fact that the personal representatives are the people that have to do this job, and we forget that we don't necessarily take advantage of, not necessarily take advantage is not the right word, but rely on the fact that it's part of their responsibility to do this. And the more we can engage with them to do that and, talk about the things that are, what we do to solve their problems and, chasing down people that might be stakeholders and, anecdotal data about the fact that you're the god or goddess of probate. Those are important things to point out, and a letter can do that better and sometimes better than that call can do. So I'd suggest you might want to drop something in the mail. And Bruce, what's your opinion of that?
No, I think that dropping different pieces in the mail that kind of fall generally outside of your mailing campaign, because we should all have, as long as it's in your budget, we should all have a lengthy mailing campaign, but especially on older leads, I think it's important to hit them with something at that 9-month mark, because you don't know who got stuck and hasn't heard from a single probate specialist or agent or estate sale company in months at that point. So if they're stuck in probate quicksand and they're not they haven't answered any calls, they probably hadn't gotten anything for a while. 100% agree. You should send them a letter. Tim likes the number 10 envelope. I love it. I kind of like a full 8.5 by 11 envelope that's unfolded. I like both. I might even do both. While we're spending your money, Scott, let's go ahead and spend some more of it. Let's do 2 letters.
I was going to add to that also, Scott, that we don't talk about enough. We're 8 years old. When we started this company, we said send 3 letters, follow up with 3 phone calls. That's always been the minimum standard. What we have found over the years, as probate has become more well known than we started, if you've got the budget, you really should do 6 letters. And if you're having us automate the letters, we have a 6-month letter we can send out. There's really no reason to not automate, maybe 5, 6 letters and then send them a letter at the 6-month, the 9-month, the 12, the 18, and the 24-month. You could automate all that, because the reality is if you start with 100 leads, after 90 days, you should have eliminated probably 70, 75% of them. And after 6 months, you should have eliminated 90% of them. After a year, maybe 95%. So it's not going to cost you a lot to keep mailing to the few remaining ones. But those ones that you never eliminated because they were procrastinated, they didn't answer your phone, they didn't respond to your mail, but you still believe, in other words, they haven't disqualified themselves yet. It's very inexpensive to just set up an automated campaign to email to them every 90 days until the end of time or until they respond. It's certainly not going to be a costly campaign, and it's going to get progressively more worth it, because the farther out you get, the less likely you're going to have any competition. So that is something you could automate up front. And I don't think hardly anybody does that. We always talk about go back and revisit your leads and send them a letter after 6 months, do the same after 12, do the same after 18. We can automate that process for you. Just when you put in the request, make it a long-term thing. Now, if you're going to do that, make sure you get in and you eliminate your sold ones from the mailings. You don't want to keep mailing to everybody for a year. You're going to waste a lot of money because most of them are going to be sold. Did you follow that thought process?
Awesome. Gotcha.
Okay. What else can we help you with, sir?
I think that what you're hearing, and everybody else on the call, the same thing, is that, too often we just assume that, I didn't get anywhere, and I took a whack and I swung the bat, and, I didn't get anybody to call me back, and I'm just there. And I can't tell you the number of times that on these calls that we end up with hearing lots and lots of people come back and say to us, hey, I've heard you guys say it before, and I just got a call from somebody that I haven't heard from or talked to in over a year, and they finally reached out to me. And think about what causes people to do that. And that's what you got to get into your head. You got to get in the mindset of the person that's dealing with this. Oftentimes, a probate can even get settled out. Somebody ends up with a house or whatever, but the person that's the PR is actually the person that ended up with it. They want to sell it, and they just haven't done anything with it because they couldn't get think about it. If it was a child or surviving spouse, or, it's now time to sell the house, and they got stopped because the house is still filled with the possessions of the loved one. Nothing happened. There are lots of reasons that house is still sitting there waiting to get sold. And it's like any kind of regular real estate. You need to be top of mind at the time that it's important for that decision to get made. If you're not, they're going to go with the guy next door, the last realtor sign they saw, somebody that they saw on a billboard. You need to make sure that you're putting your face in front of them and you're diligent. And you should point out also that, just imagine hearing from me now, and I haven't heard from you in this long. Think about the wonderful job I'm going to do to help you get this house marketed. If you, give me a call and we can talk about it, I can do better for you than anybody else will, because I'm the hardest working person in the business. There are lots of things you can say like that, and don't hesitate to, personalize every bit of that. But old leads are great leads.
Yep. And I love the voice that you used there, Tim. It reminds me of the voice my wife uses when she's mocking me, that third. I like the sound effect if that's what you're going to say. So, I'm just being a smart aleck. But no, it's a great point.
Let me kind of jump in again on this and talk about the pain points that someone's experiencing. And I'm not talking about the emotional pain at this point. If it's an older lead, I hope that emotional pain has kind of subsided and that it's less acute. But what do we do with pain that is not acute? When pain is acute, we act on it. When pain is not acute, we ignore it. And I know people walking around all over the place with physical pain that's not acute. It's just kind of a dull pain, and they've ignored it for years and gotten almost to the point that they don't notice it until you draw their attention there. And anybody that has a property, especially a vacant property that they have inherited, they've been going through the probate process, and if they're not done in 9, 12, 18 months, whatever the time frame is, if they're not done, it's probably because they've just ignored the pain. Nobody else is pointing it out. They're not thinking about it. They're getting up and they're living their everyday life. And every month that mortgage rolls around, or every month that utility bill rolls around, but they kind of forget it because it's on automatic. So those are people that would sell if it was pointed out. I'm kind of thinking about myself. I sign up for memberships or subscriptions, and every month my card gets hit. And I don't really think about it. I know that it's there, but I'll kind of think about it at midnight and go, I really ought to do something about that. But then I go about my life. And these leads are doing the same thing. They're kind of forgetting about the things that they need to do with that probate or with that property because they're going about their life because the acute pain is gone. And there are lots of people that are just kind of floating out there in limbo, not finishing their probate case or not selling the property that they know they need to sell because it's just not acute anymore. And they need our help. We need to point that pain out. We don't need to sell them on the fact that they're in pain. We just need to point it out because a lot of times they already know in the back of their mind that they have to take care of it. They've just started to ignore it. And you'll move a lot of people off of the proverbial fence by sending that letter, by giving that call after they've been through probate or in probate for a long time. So we talked to you guys about quitting in 6 months. In general, my campaign starts to wind down at about the 6-month mark, but there's nothing wrong with maybe running Probate Plus against an old set of leads, find that 10, 15, 20% of people that haven't done anything yet, and going after them. Nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, not only is there nothing wrong with it, I think you owe it to your business and these leads to be able to go after those older leads like that. You owe it to them as well, because otherwise they're just going to be stuck. So you're providing an amazing service that should save them a lot of money and time versus just sitting there with a dull pain that they're ignoring.
Yep, great analogy. Well said. Anything else we can do for you, sir, this week?
That was way more than enough.
All right, great. Hey, we have 2 more in the queue. Way more than enough.
Appreciate you guys.
I could hear the pain when you said. I could hear the fresh pain when you said way more is enough. So
hey, I'm
that's
jumping
good.
on y'all's humor bandwagon here. Okay.
Oh, I know you are. We love it. Thank you. Thank you. This is a serious business, but we don't have to take ourselves too seriously. You got to try to have fun with it. I see there's 2 in the queue. I also see that Rodger Lacey is on the call. Rodger, if you would come on and tell everybody about your Bubba Gump deal, I think everybody would enjoy your Bubba Gump deal, and I know you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully you'll jump into the queue. Hit *6 and hit 1. In the meantime, next up is phone number ending in 6755. You're up next.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Hi, my name is Mike, and my wife Madeline is here with me. We are newbies to the group. I just wanted to say hello to everybody. I am a brand new involved. I had one question. Do you guys ever visit people that are leads? I just look at things like when I get junk mail or if I get phone calls who aren't personable to me, that I don't know who the person is, and they start to ask or question about personal information. I'm very leery about that. And I'm just going based on myself. So if I'm dealing with a stranger because I'm trying to, I guess, acclimate myself into this business, would actually visiting people on these leads be something that you guys would frown upon, or what are your thoughts about it?
No, we have that pop up. We have that pop up pretty frequently, where people will bring up the idea of going to visit, and it's not a lot of people that are going to do it. I guarantee you're going to stand out in doing that. So I'll encourage it. This needs to be a holistic approach. So you don't want to only go visit. You don't want to only go knock on a door. You don't want to only call. You don't want to only mail. Any of those things that you're going to do exclusively without the other elements are going to kind of pigeonhole you into only getting the people that are home during the day, or only getting the people that answer calls from a number that they don't know. And we need to do it all, but I'm going to encourage you to go visit. Another group of people that you need to be going and visiting are going to be the attorneys. And I know that there are a lot of people who are really they get a little squeamish about going and knocking on a door, especially during this time. If you're squeamish about it, that's totally fine. But I don't have an issue with you knocking on a door at all. I think that it's gonna help you stand apart. Anybody that's home, they're more likely to answer the door than they are the phone.
Gotcha.
Are you getting our leads at this point?
I have not. Like I said, I am brand new. I was just introduced to this today. This is my first call with you gentlemen. That is something that I'm trying to get acclimated. I do have real estate. I'm in the process of selling, and I want to get into a different avenue, I guess, if you want to say that. I'm looking for different ways to acquire properties, and this piqued my interest.
Yeah, so here's the thing that you need to be aware of, and that's this: that when you get the leads from us, we give you 3 big data points. One of them is we give you the personal representative from the probate. So that is the person whose job it is to represent the decedent, and that's typically normally it's the executor or executrix, and those are the people that are responsible for it. The other thing that we give you is the last known address of the decedent, and then we also give you the attorney's address. So I think Bruce's point there is that the person that you're going to go see, is, if you're going to go do that, is probably going to be the personal representative. You may find that you're going to have to hunt them down. They may be, they may be working or whatever. So you're going to have some hit and miss stuff there. And I guess the point is that you may or may not have the address of the property being sold, and you're going to have to go to the person who's going to go do it. And I think Bruce's point about if you're going to go make a visit, you kind of get double bang for the buck going to see the attorney, because if you take the lead list that you get and you sort it by the attorneys, you'll see that in most cases, you'll find an attorney who typically is representing more than one probate in your marketplace. So if you find every month that you've got an attorney who's getting 3 or 4 people, he's got 3 or 4 new clients in the probate space every month, that's an extremely valuable relationship for you to cultivate if you can do it, and that's definitely worth going to see. Let me add one other thing to add to this. It's going to be a little bit of a commercial. That's why I'm harping on it. So one of the things that we're doing is that we are creating a new product to get to you folks that's going to give you a handout to help you get in that door a little bit easier rather than walk in with nothing or walk in with your business card. We're going to give you a nice document to hand to them that will also help you prospect nursing homes and assisted living and all that. So I think you need to, we need to get you squared away and get you into our leads program, and we'll kind of help you get all those things done. And we'll get you some more information on that as time comes. Jim, I think we have a bunch more people in the queue, right? Jimmy?
Jim?
We do. We sure do. Hey, Michael, you and I just spoke a couple hours ago, but everything Tim says also applies to circle prospecting and any lead source. I mean, try everything. Send them a letter, make a phone call, show up at their doorstep. It's hard to ignore you if you show up at the doorstep, and your conversion rate should go through you get a lot more doors slammed in your face than people will on the phone, but your conversion rate will go up also considerably.
I got you.
Make sense?
So
thank you. Yes,
I'm sorry, guys. I got to jump in. I don't think I haven't done a ton of door knocking, but a lot of my coaching clients have. I don't think that many people are going to slam a door in your face. There's a lot fewer people that when they're face to face with you that are going to slam a door than might hang up on you when you call.
I agree, but it will be more doors that you get slammed when you're on the phone.
Right. Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. True. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I hated to jump in on that. I just didn't want people to fear knocking on doors because most people are pretty polite.
You're right. When I was in college, I sold encyclopedias door to door, and in 3 summers of doing that, I had maybe 5 people that got upset with me. You're right. When you show up with a big smile on your face, they might nicely tell you they're not interested and apologize and give you a glass of water, but very few people are really rude. People want to be nice. If you give them an opportunity, they will be. Good point. Good point. All right, Michael, does that help, sir? Yes, and Madeline?
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. We got a full queue. Next up is Michael, that's you again. Okay, next up is Rodger Lacey. Thank you for jumping in. I teased them all with the Bubba Gump story. So do you want to share that with us?
Well, let me put an icing on the cake with the door knocking conversation.
Please. Sure.
My dad was transferred. He was in the Army, went to Okinawa. It was an unaccompanied trip, and it takes about 6 months, about 3 months to 6 months before the allotment check gets to the dependents. And we moved from Fort Hood to Fort Smith, Arkansas. And we knew it was in the middle of winter, and my mom decided that we couldn't wait for 6 months. So she got out her sewing machine and went to bought a bunch of fabric and created chicken head pot holders. This is probably when I was 15 years old. And she filled up one of those hard-shelled overnight bags, gave one to me and one to my brother, and go out and sell these for 50 cents each, 3 for $1. And it took me a lot of overcoming fear knocking on the door until I finally realized in a conversation with somebody that I said, I just open up the bag, open up the box and say, I'm selling chicken head pot holders. If I could shiver a little bit, just showing the cold snow that I was in, they would have pity on me and they would buy a couple. And then I'd start asking, then they would start picking out the colors that they had in their kitchen. And I went, wow, that's the question. So I walked up to one door. There's a sign on it that says no solicitors. And I stood there for about a minute thinking, what does that mean? What is solicitors? And so I just knocked on the door, and the guy said, what do you want, kid? And I said, well, what does this sign mean, no soliciting? And he said, it means we don't want no damn salespeople. About that time, I heard his wife in the background say, what's that boy doing out there? And at the top of my lungs, I said, what color is your kitchen? I opened them up, and she said, I got a blue kitchen. Oh, I want that one and that one now. And they did. They bought just about everything I had there. But knocking on doors is you may find another seller by knocking on the door, because I had one just a couple of years ago. A lady says, no, I'm not interested in that 10 acres over there that's in probate. I know all about that over there, but I am interested in moving to Farmington. And I said, does that mean you're going to sell your house? And she said, well, we got to sell this house before we move that. And they're building over there. And I sit there and I went, well, and I started looking in and said, will you mind if I take a look at your house? Oh, no, come on in. We like realtors. And so I sold that. I sold the 10 acres, not to them, to somebody else. And I sold that house, and I sold another house. So you may get another. Knocking on doors is a good thing, especially if they're next door neighbors to the probate property. They may be interested in purchasing the probate property or getting a mix into it, into the offers selection of being able to make an offer on the property. So
that is great. This is like a door knockers reunion. You reminded me. They used to tell us, if you see a no salespeople sign, when they answer the door, say, I noticed that sign, but my boss tells me I'm not much of a salesperson anyway. But you got a minute? It's like self-deprecating humor. It always works, or it usually works.
That's why they have the sign up, because they know that they're susceptible to salesmen, and they don't want to be. They want to eliminate as many as they can. But they're
100%. That's awesome, Rodger. Thank you. That was very inspiring. So tell us about Bubba Gump. I'm sure we got everybody's curiosity.
You're talking about the big acreage and me making a call on the attorney's office. Is that one?
No, the shrimp boats on the west coast of Florida. Oh, I have the wrong person, don't I?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but I will.
No, well, now I got to tell everybody. I apologize. I just realized it was one of our other long-term clients that sent me a lead. I was thinking it was you when I saw your name there. I got a call from somebody in your neck of the woods that's been with us a long time and had a referral for a property over on the west coast of Florida. It was 2 docks and 3 shrimp boats. And he said, do you think you get to find a real? So anyway, I reached out to one of our subscribers over there. He sold the 2 docks and the shrimp boats for $750,000, and sent the guy that referred him to us a nice commission check. Yeah, my apology. I was confusing you with another subscriber, but at least I got a chance to tell the story.
Well, that was that one. I can talk about a unique resolution that I had after it was probably about 6 months that actually it was about a year old, and I had kept in touch with Betty Jo. She lives out in the country. I'm in Northwest Arkansas, and she lived out in the country, and she finally called me and said, I need for you to come by and talk to me. I got your letters, and I remember you leaving the messages, and I think we're ready to do something. And so we met, and her niece was there, and as I start finding out that the estate was 2 years, the probate was 2 years old and been sitting in the attorney's office for 2 years, and he hadn't done anything on it until finally they got it done. And Betty Jo had been making mortgage payments for 2 years to keep the property from going into foreclosure, as well as utilities. And I just sit there and I said, I wished you had called me earlier. And she said, but I want my sister's car. Betty Jo is her sister. I want my sister's car. Well, we have to do that. Got my estate seller. It was during COVID. We had to do an estate sale instead of an auction for the personal property. And the whole time I'm talking to the attorney, and he just sat there and he said, well, the price has got to be approved, and we've got this process. I'm very familiar. Here's a broker's price opinion. 2 of the judges already know me, and they know the work that I've done with them before. And so he said, well, as soon as we get approval, you can't put it on the market. I said, we got an estate sale first to get done. So that woman must have had 500 beanie babies in there in that estate, and so we finally got that done. And Betty Jo kept saying, "I want that car," and it's a 2000 Hyundai Elantra with about 100,000 miles on it. I looked at the estate seller and I said, "You got any ideas?" And he looked at me and he said, "Sure. Why don't we why don't we go ahead and get her offer on the automobile, and we'll make that the reserve, and she can pay for it out of the proceeds from that she's going to be reimbursed on it." She had paid $500 a month for 2 years. She'd paid about $12,000 out of her pocket to keep that thing from being foreclosed on. And I said, "This is going to be a piece of cake. It's going to look like it's free, but what we're going to do, and the way I've got to sell this to the attorney, is I have to tell him that she has how much, 12,000 plus that she's given you receipts for." And he said, "Yes." And I said, "She wants to buy the car. Do you have the title?" And yes, she's going to buy the car for $2,100, which is over the book Blue Book value. Just take $2,100 out of her reimbursement, and that way it's still a part of the estate assets. And there was it was picky that way because there was another out-of-state heir that demanded a complete inventory of the personal property on that. So
that's brilliant.
The happy ending. The attorney said, "You're not going to sell that house for any more than $100,000. I sold it for $160,000 with 10 multiple offers on it, and presented it to the executor, and she said, "Cut it down to 2 or 3. Which ones should I be looking at?" And so I had my net sheets all ready, and she picked the one, went to the attorney. "This is the one that we want to accept," and he closed the estate, and Betty Jo got her car plus her 15, what is that, about $14,000 and utility payments reimbursed, and the other heirs got what they needed out of it. And it's Betty Jo and I. She's an elderly lady. I'm staying in touch with her because there's another estate that I can help out with down the road, and I'm familiar with the family.
What a great story. And by the way, my apologies to Bud Thompson. I confused you with Bud Thompson. I always intertwine you guys. But Bud was the shrimp boat guy. And Rodger, that is a great story of providing value, really taking your time, understanding the overall situation, and going above and beyond to make it a win-win-win for everybody. So that is our win of the week. I don't think anybody can touch that. That's great. It's always good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate it.
I have 3 things that I'm adding to my marketing. It's a synopsis of how I'm trying to get attention, and I'm using it on my phone calls: solving problems, saving time, no extra fees.
Awesome. That is great.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, thanks as always for sharing, my friend. We got a full queue, but I really appreciate you. I called on you by mistake, but it turned out to be a great story, and I appreciate you sharing. Good to hear from you.
Hey, before you let him go, hey, Rodger, you a Razorback fan?
Just a little bit. Georgia better look out.
You got yourself a football team this year, buddy. I was thinking about you. Rock on, man.
I tell you, Coach Pitts has really recruited everybody that was on the team. Somebody asked me the other day, "How much is this costing us?" And I said, "Well, it's cost us a athletic director that gave Brett Billema a buyout that we've never seen before. He lost his job. Billema lost his job. We had a short-term one-season coach, and then we had some other guy from now. Now they're calling us the best. Arkansas is the best team in Texas."
Indeed,
we beat Rice, we beat Texas, and we beat Texas A&M. So we're off to a good start this year. We're really cool.
We got to let you go, but thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Great job. It's not only informative but entertaining, as always, Rodger. All right, we have 2 more in the queue. Next up is phone number ending in 0271. You're up next.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Stephen, my name's Amy, and I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and we've been wholesaling, doing some real estate for the last 6 months, maybe a little bit longer, but we decided to go with the probate niche because we see how much value there is to provide these families and monetize the probate process beyond just the real estate, and really provide a ton of value, because we were just really unsatisfied with how little value we could provide when it's really easy to pick up the phone and somebody make an offer and sign a contract. But my question is, I just started Probate Mastery yesterday. We've been integrating probate into our business model for the last few weeks, and Probate Mastery is kind of just icing on the cake. But my question is, what is it that you guys found in your experience to be the best way to make great relationships with the attorneys? Because I've been calling them. A lot of them are just, they're busy. They're busy people. They don't have time to listen to every single real estate person that calls and is offering value services. So I guess, where are you guys seeing these relationships really start to flourish and go to the next level for those referrals to really help them and provide value?
It's a great question, and the answer, I have to kind of go back and tell you a little bit about what I did in the beginning of my probate career. Is I would walk into their offices, I would mail, and I would call, and all of those things worked slowly. So you're really kind of building sort of a long-term relationship with that. And then one day I stumbled onto a way to build relationships, and it worked so easily that I really don't do personally a lot of calls to attorneys anymore, or even mail to attorneys anymore. I still do some, but I was having a conversation with a financial planner, a friend of mine, and I was talking to him about probate, and I asked if he would be interested in kind of co-working these leads with me, just from the standpoint of helping with their inheritance, helping them save money on taxes, different things like that. And of course, the financial planner was just over the moon to be included in that side of the business. It was something that he'd been overlooking. And at the end of that conversation that he was really excited about, I said, while I'm building my team out, I could really use a good connection with an estate planning attorney or two. And I didn't say probate attorney. I said estate planning attorney, which is basically, typically probate attorneys are estate planning attorneys. Estate planning attorneys are typically probate attorneys. And he handed me two names and pulled his phone out and did a text connection between both of them. I was on the phone building a relationship with both that day. And it was so easy to pick up two attorneys that way. It was so easy that I just started going to the financial advisors and the financial planners and having conversations about probate and inherited property and inherited wealth. And they all have attorneys that they consistently refer to. The majority of attorneys in the probate or the estate planning space get their business, the majority of their referral business, from financial advisors. So if you go to the financial industry, the planners, the advisors, build a relationship with them, they'll take you to their preferred attorneys, and the attorney's always going to be willing to have a conversation with you because it's their best referral partner that introduced you. And it's really easy. It's a little bit slower, but it's a lot less work, and it's a warm relationship because it's a handoff.
Yep. Bruce, this is Chuck, and I would say that you can expand that. Of course, financial planners, as you described, are probably that strongest referral link, but there's home health care services, there's transportation companies, there's other folks that have connections to the family, but going to those other professionals and establishing those referral relationships are going to be super. And it can be as simple as #AskFacebook, right? And you go through your sphere of influence and say, hey, we're working on this particular aspect of our business, and I'm looking to connect with more folks that help out with elder law or, estate planning. Who do you know, or who have you worked with in the past? And really, reaching out to other folks once you've gone through your sphere of financial planners.
Another one, that's great, Chuck. Another one to add to that would be, of course, the nursing homes, the senior care facilities. There's always a director there that's in charge of keeping the place full. So reach out to that person with hey, I run into people all the time that, mom died, dad needs to get into a home like this, and we need to sell their place right away. Can I refer them to you? Okay, I can. Great. And by the way, I'm also looking to build the same kind of relationship with an attorney. Can you recommend? Because a lot of times attorneys do the same thing. You're referring to the same sources. You have the same clients, in common. So, throw the carrot out that I'm going to send people to you, and would you include me in some of the relationships you've already established? It's a great way to do it.
And I think the key really is that you need to offer the help first to those referral partners. Say, hey, how can I help you grow your business? We have a lot of the same clients and interests. What ask them to train you on how to refer somebody to them, and they'll be over the moon thrilled because you expressed that interest in helping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Well, we have one more in the queue that will bring us nicely up to the top of the hour. Last call today is phone number ending in 2821. You're up last.
Yeah, this is Bubba Bud out here in Nebraska.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey, man.
I always get a kick out of listening to Rodger Lee. It's worth it.
You're breaking up a little bit. You're breaking up just a little bit. Say again.
Well, I'm just saying thanks, Jim. I appreciate that you were able to match me up with that guy over in Tampa and put that thing all together. That was
yeah.
great.
Tell me, and I apologize. I confused you and Rob. I don't know why you remind me of each other, but did I do a good job of telling the story? Just to highlight the deal for me real quick, for everybody real quick, and how it worked and how it went.
Sure. It started out. I've done a lot of work with this attorney in probate, and ironically, he referred a family to me that had a power of attorney for a fellow that had to leave his home, and I ended up.
Hey, Bud, your voice sounds hollow. Yeah, can you pick up, maybe take off the headset or something?
Oh no, it is without the headset. That's just Nebraska.
Oh, well, that's better. Whatever you did, that's better. Go ahead.
Okay, well, it started out with a house here in town at $275 that we ended up selling with 3 offers at $306, and then we went to. He says, "Can you find me somebody in Florida?" And that turned into that $700,000 deal. I think it was 2 shrimp boat slip. Might have been a couple boats involved. But anyway, had a nice referral come to it. And then it came back as, by the way, that family also has 6 rental houses here in Omaha. And you want to work on those. So that's another $1 million. So it turned into a $2 million proposition with the boat slips were $700,000 of that in the middle of it, and a 300 house here, and then another $1 million in rentals that I'm still working on. I haven't listed them yet, but when they clear up the legal aspects of it, and my best friend in that is the paralegal that works for the lawyer. Anyway, that's the scoop, and I sure appreciate that you could put it together like you did. That helped a lot. So anybody that needs a matchmaker, it's probably that bunch of ATLs, Jim Sullivan, for sure. That's all I got to say.
I appreciate that, but you've been with us a long time, and you and any of our subscribers got my attention, but that's the benefit of doing this for going on 8 or 9 years now. There's not too many areas of the country where we don't really know somebody good, and I put you in touch with the only person I would have in that particular market, and sounds like he really performed for you. So that's a great story. We may have to have 2 winners of the week between you and Rodger this week. Since I confused you, I should give you both the award. But I thank you for sharing, my friend. We appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, and best regards to you guys and to Rodger. Take care. Bye.
All right. Take care, everybody. Well, that is perfect end to the call, guys. I want to As I always do, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank those that actively participated, and I want to challenge each of you. We had a lot of great ideas on the call today. Take one idea, one thought, one thing that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. We will talk to you same time next Thursday. Take care.